Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, once again to the World Championship Series America. I'm Nathanius, joined by In Control, and we are going to be going into our winners match. Should be a good one. How you feeling about this one, Jeffrey?
Just thinking some mean things, but it's going to be a good one, right? Kane showing some resilience there, surviving no regret, and MaSa, of course, the favorite for the group. We'll have to see if he can keep delivering.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. I like that we've seen the good plays out of Kane. Excited to see where he goes in this group. We do have some other cool stuff to talk to you guys about, though. There's more StarCraft out there. That's right. This WCS Challenger broadcast is literally not the only thing that you can tune into. You've got June 16 coming up. You've got GSL. Maru's going up against Classic. Then you've got the WCS Oceania Challenger. Then you've got, of course, our Challenger finals next week. And then July 12th. WCS Valencia. Don't miss it, because if you do, why are you here? This is like the build-up.
It would be weird to watch this and then miss Valencia.
Yeah,
I think that would be.
I also
wrong.
enjoy watching part 1 of films and never watching part 2.
Yeah, it'd be kind of like sitting down and watching the previews of a movie, finishing your popcorn, and standing up, being like, "Well, time to head out," and then you like walk out, and people are like, "What?"
Yeah. Yeah, of course, Challenger, it's we've got our own nice little thing here. Of course, we've got our regional champions, but the story of WCS goes all year long. So, with that being said, here are the group standings so far, as we've got Zeal eliminating No Regret in that last match. Our final 2 series, we're going to have MaSa play against Kane. Should be a bloodbath. And then the loser of that versus Zeal. So, Zeal knocking out GSL Codes contender No Regret. In Control, what do you make of that?
It's good for a first showing, right? Like one of the hardest things about WCS is a lot of times when you make your first appearance is when you have the most butterflies, very difficult. We make a lot of jokes about all the all-ins that No Regret does, but the fact of the matter is he's successful with them. He knows when to really throw their opponent for the loop, and Zeal was put through the gridiron there. It was some weird stuff, but if you overreact or underreact, you can just die, and that is the kind of the challenge that No Regret puts you through. So it's good to see that, but the next challenge, of course, will be beating one of the more familiar names, right? We know MaSa. This is a guy that's been very successful in the WCS system, notably taking Neeb the distance in the last WCS Challenger season. And Neeb is kind of seen as the unbeatable North American player. Now facing Kane. Kane, who hasn't had success but has been kind of quiet because he's been a little bit retired for a while. He's just coming back. Before he retired, he was one of the best.
Yeah,
without results.
Yeah, he was a pretty strong player, but yeah, no big results.
Yeah, he's one of those guys where if you hit him on ladder, you were like, how do you ever lose? This guy's amazing.
He is.
He's had huge macro. And of course, it's so hard to win in StarCraft, not on the ladder in particular, but in tournaments against other top-tier players. So never quite able to fully get there.
MaSa completely cheesed his way through the last WCS Challenger as we did our build-up to Austin. But he said that was because he didn't think he could beat Scarlet, and then he beat her, just cheesing every game. And then he didn't think he could beat Neeb, and then they went to map 7 with cheese. And he had a few opportunities to close that series out, but we're going to kick this one off on Lost and Found for some good Terran versus Zerg. This map is, I'd say it's pretty, I mean, this is a map everybody likes.
Yeah.
The big factor, the Reaper thing doesn't really have an effect on this. Zerg players don't block that really. But it's a map where you can Reaper Scout. I don't really have any expectations for this. I think that MaSa could cheese, but
I would predict he doesn't.
I think this will be like probably among our series today, this should be one of the better ones. This should be a good throwdown between 2 American players.
We'll see about that. My prediction is MaSa doesn't cheese. I think you can actually kind of predict when he will. It's when he thinks he's at an equal or even disadvantage with his opponent, if he thinks they're better than him. But I feel like with Kane, he has to feel like he's the better player.
Yeah, well, fair analysis there. In Control. We're loaded in to Lost and Found. In the bottom left, we have our blue player. His name is MaSa. And he's going up against the red Zerg in the northeast. He is Kane.
$27,000, not bad.
Not too shabby.
I also think the other part of it, too, with MaSa is he doesn't want to show the cheeses he's kind of thinking of at earlier stages of tournaments, which is also a smart way to do it. He is most likely destined to head over to the playoffs where he will face some of the scarier Zergs. Your normal, like, Jon Snow, Game Time will make an appearance, but then, of course, there's Scarlet and Neeb usually up there. Although, as I say that, is Jon Snow in the other American group, actually? He qualified? I don't remember I seen that name.
Yeah, actually, I don't even...
Oh, no, I know it. You know what I do know he is, and here's why. This is funny. M. Canning made a graphic of a funny, like, picture. If you want to check out M. Canning's Twitter, he talked about, it's the Game of Thrones meme, like, brace yourself, and he said M. Canning's coming, and he's got his himself leading disruptors in the background. But it was Jon Snow that he was making the meme at, so I think he is in there.
Yeah, he's actually in the group with Neeb and M. Canning, the Group D. That's the one. That's the fun one. All right, we have a pause here, but yeah, that group's. I want M. Canning to make it to the playoffs of this bracket.
He will not.
We're
back in the
cool,
game.
Though. The game has started again.
That's it. That's the whole conversation.
There you go.
No.
You guys got to pan out for that.
That'd be amazing. I love watching M. Canning stream and stuff, but same kind of thing. He's a good ladder player, qualifies for tournaments. That's awesome. But then when you face your Neebs and even your Jon Snows, I find it very hard to see him getting past that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'd like to. My player that I'm wanting more from is Jon Snow. We saw Jon Snow at Valencia in some of these tournaments, and he like wins the expected matches, but then every time he faces someone that I feel like is at his level or whatever, he just loses. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
But he's got the talent and the ability to go further is why I'm saying this. I'm not trying to put a guy down. I'm saying that I think he's better than what he's shown.
Yeah, I completely agree. The Reaper's going to come out here. Now, Kane tried to hide the drone, and MaSa's like, no, not going to be able to get away with that. So
micring around this Reaper too, man.
Yeah. Well, he's trying to like mess with the pathing, I guess. If like the drone pops out onto the Reaper and it can't rebuild the, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
But back home, it's just your old boring 2-1-1, so nothing really of interest there. He's going to extractor, cancel, and do it again.
This is so nice, though. Even just forcing the queens out here.
Yeah.
It doesn't do any damage per se, but it just really taxes.
Oh, wow. Amazing play.
What if he would have chucked a grenade there, stopped it from morphing,
up, and then killed it? That would have been pretty sick.
Pretty amazing, though.
That would be a glorious maneuver. The creep tumors are coming down for Kane. So that's nice. It's a good slowdown, and the drone cancels, and go back into an extractor, buddy.
He's got this timed out pretty well, too. I thought he was backing off. It might have been a fake, but
yeah, I thought he
sees speed about the finish.
I thought he was backing off as well.
Well, he doesn't see it. He just knows when it finishes, usually.
Yeah. Round 330. In most standard Terran versus Zerg, it's like between 320 and 340 is when you're going to see that speed finish up. So very smart to bring the Reaper back or move it around somewhere else at least so that he can check that the third base actually started and that it's not some weird, crazy shenanigans going down.
Mm-hmm.
And he can still run into the main base pretty easily with this as well. The queens are all by that third natural area. And he has the Overlord spotting for high ground over here.
That Overlord, by the way, it's got to be one of the best in all the maps.
I hate this Overlord.
It obviously gets dislodged later, but for the entirety of this part of the game, it sees absolutely everything.
Yep. If you try to move out without a wall, it's like, oh, well, easiest ling run by of my life. And MaSa's going to start walling this off with his engineering bays, and this Zerg player, Kane, he's like, oh, well, that's nice, thank you.
You ever seen double engineering as a fake? Has anyone ever done that and then gone mech behind it? It's kind of hard to get that payoff, right? Like
no. eBays are great when you're playing mech because they're cheap, fast building walls, but no, other than that. No.
Maybe Starport Banshee, like 3 Starport Banshee. That'd be kind of funny.
That would be a little out there.
I feel like if you were going to do a fake, that would have to be it. But then when like the medevacs of the Marines don't show up, the Zerg just throws an Overlord in your main. You're like, oh, okay, there it is.
Yeah.
Good thing I already got 7 queens and spore crawlers, and you're like, oh, dang.
Yeah, I like that the 2-1-1 follow-up now is you usually see that tank a little bit faster, but you also get the 2 engineering bays before the 3rd command center a lot more these days because those upgrades end up having such a huge impact. If you get the 3rd command center before the E-bays and the extra racks, you just get into this weird spot where you're like, I have Marines, and then you can't do any damage because the Zerg goes double evolution chamber and you're just stuck. But, and then also the windup usually turns into a quick follow-up, but we don't have that this game. We saw that earlier today out of Hero Marine with the fast double medevac follow-up, but picks off a few Banes, tries to snipe some creep tumors, gets a queen, pulls back.
Great micro. That's just a MaSa thing.
Yeah, really good focus fire on the Banes.
All but one. That time lost a few Marines, but again, killing Banelings and just occupying attention, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can be happy with a lot less as a Terran player here.
Yeah. And MaSa's just behind this, getting his siege tanks up. No reactor on the starport yet is a little interesting. But at this point, he should be getting his armory out if he wants to continue forward with his upgrades without getting slowed down. The lair is really not that fast this game. Hydralisk's Baneling speed pretty far off. Kane's strategy here is to just hold on with a ton of lings. This is a very True-esque sort of opening, although I would say that True would probably have gotten his lair faster just for that Baneling speed if he was going to only use Ling Bane to hold on. But that makes this a little bit precarious as the tanks, I love this, he puts them in the medevac. He's like, right, I'm going to boost everything forward as fast as possible. And if you can get those tanks siege in a good spot on that cliffy area and move his Marines down, there's opportunity. Or I guess, yeah, you can go behind the rocks too.
The Baneling speed being as late as it is going to really hurt Kane here.
I like that he throws the Reaper Grenade out. He's like hoping that he dives on top of them so that he can bounce them back with that. But this is just a really nice position to work with. The tanks are going to get surrounded. Did not leave any of his Marines back there. He just needs to make sure the tanks target fire some of the Banelings. And he does get some beautiful target fire on those Banes.
And the split, too. Really nice micro from MaSa. He's going to push forward here. Baneling speed about to finish up, but if some damage can come in. Oh, whoa.
Wow.
There's a miscue.
He goes for the target fire, gets most of them, but only needs one to blow up at that point. MaSa has definitely one weakness that stands out that we've seen in WCS a lot, is that he overstims like crazy.
Big fan of the stim.
He loves using that ability nonstop. The target fire grabs a Baneling, picks up, and he's going to send out his next two medevacs. I mean, Kane doesn't really have many Overlords out of the map. The creep spread's kind of been slowed down by this, so MaSa's definitely gotten good pressure on.
The minerals stacking up for our Zerg player, whereas MaSa, like a well-oiled machine, keeps going with 0 bank. Just really good production from him. And that's the other part of this that we don't kind of see. It's a very micro-oriented dance between these two. I would say more so for the Terran player, obviously, but still for the Zerg, you can't just aim move towards that and be happy.
No.
You have to be going for, Lings running by and trying to grab stuff and hold it in place for the Banelings.
Yeah, well, this is this composition can be kind of weird to deal with because you expect the Zerg player to slow down the Ling Bane production so that they can get Hydras or a Hive or something else up, but Kane is not going to do that. He's focusing on this very Ling Bane heavy, and now the Hydras are going to start to come out, but I mean, this third for MaSa was really, really late. In a relative sense, so it's not like he was under any pressure to do damage to MaSa. Yeah. He just had to defend. He just get his 4th base up.
Oh, did those Banelings didn't burrow, did they? No, okay, they were dead bodies. Never mind. I always like that. That's a Cyril thing that he busted out of Austin. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, Kane's pretty on top of where MaSa's forces have been here. Yeah, and the bait. He's hoping that he just pulls a bunch in with
It's so funny because it's actually good and clever, and there's just no reaction, actually.
Yeah, he's like, well, I don't actually have to deal with that.
If that hatch stuff into that'd be a problem.
He's going to focus down the hatchery. I like this. He doesn't want to go for any of the Banes, doesn't kill any of the Hydras. He's like, all right, just kill the hatch, pull away. Really nice snipe on that 3rd base because a good amount of those forces were kind of derping around the top side, hoping for that medevac to unload. And that's also going to push the creep spread back here again, as he's cleared all the tumors on the east side of the map. So the weird thing is that his Hydralisk Den is vulnerable, so he won't be able to deny the muscular augments, but the Hydralisk range upgrade, which is very important,
it's a big deal,
could get canceled. That's a really nice tech pickup. His +2 attack evolution chamber is there as well.
Here comes the counterattack, but it's only from one angle. The Banelings do connect here decently, but as Nathaniel's pointed out, some damage already done, and the medevacs critically might be getting away, which looks like they do.
I thought he was going to leave those Marines there to die, but he saved them. And he did get the Hydralisk Den, very important to point out. So the +1 range upgrade for those Hydras is not even on the way anymore. Makes it very difficult to catch those medevacs. Might even be one of the reasons why he was able to evacuate those forces.
Yeah, actually I would agree with that. Showing up, nothing to do here. The whole army is there.
Hydras have no range. It's a sad life.
Double medevac making its way to the 12 o'clock.
Well, those ones got close enough. Yep. He's going to make that drop into the main. Just an Overlord here, some Queens, and Kane's he was kind of moving across the map for a second there, so he's got to run back now. These Marines should be able to get some work done. A wave of Lings does finish right as he shows up, but gets some drones. He spots the Hive starting. Very important information for Kane, or excuse me, for MaSa.
Man, he lost 2 Marines, I think. Yeah. Took such a good angle there.
And we have the 4th base on the way, about to finish up for MaSa.
Kane fighting on, though. The creep has been good. Of course, as I say that, it's being pushed back right now, but he's trying to do what he can to remain on top. The mechanical miscue of earlier, where he just didn't have the money spent, is now fixed. He's doing a good job there. Gets one of the medevacs. So, you know, we've been talking a lot about this great play from MaSa, but Kane's not out of it yet. He's got drones. He's got an army. He can do it.
Yeah, but it's so sick. MaSa, like, only kills Banelings with this drop. Look at that. There's only one left. It's like, okay, now I can unload this again. Split the Marines.
My God.
And suddenly you have to send even more forces to deal with this. MaSa has, he's been playing very well here. Now he's moving out this big push. Oop, careful there, Liberator.
He does such a good job of microing the crap out of these fights and getting everything he can, and then still pushing forward with a big army.
Yeah, and the rest of the Marine tank is coming up in the back right now. The Marines definitely caught off a little bit at the front, but now that the Ling and Bane is gone, those few Marines with the tank support will be able to push through the Hydralisks, or at least push them back. He had a little further to go before he reaches that base. That's empty. But a bunch more Banelings are on the way. Let's keep in mind the health of those Marines. He's going to need to get his next wave out. If this army can reach the front line before Kane attacks, then I think that MaSa is going to have a really, really nice position. It'll be very difficult to break this. The Liberator sieging up is going to reinforce this so well.
Absolutely agreed. I think one of the only weaknesses MaSa has is he kind of overextends sometimes, right? But Kane not pouncing on that is going to be fine. And you live by the sword and you die by it too, right? That overextension goes from bad to, in my opinion, very good here all of a sudden, as you pointed out, Nathanius, with these Liberators and tanks now syncing up and the Marines. Keep in mind the medevac count really hasn't been trimmed down at all, so there's just so many medevacs. This is a huge problem for Kane all of a sudden.
Yep. He's done a great job. The way that he pulls over here, you can see the tanks are covering from the other side of the gap. But Vipers are out. Kane's actually gotten some pretty good tech. He's going to try to pull those siege tanks in or use the blinding cloud on top of those forces while the Hydralisks and Banelings move in. But the tank line is staggered back so far with the Liberator support. MaSa is going to be able to hold his position here. And this is where things start to fall apart a little bit. Those Banelings. What? Okay.
Good pullback. Yeah, it goes from like a move to victory to, maybe if those Banelings connect, not so much. But here we go. We're off creep now, and that's where the Zerg just trades so poorly. 40 supply advantage for MaSa. Not a bad effort by Kane, but MaSa is just in kind of a different class right now. He's been meant to move on from this group, and he's going to get that first game here in just a few moments as Kane kind of comes to grips with what's happening.
Yeah, not really a lot Kane can do at this point. Really well played game by him, though. I like a lot of the thought process behind it. You know, that's one of the things that True succeeds a lot off of versus especially foreign Terran players is being so aggressive with the Ling count. And in this game, he had to be defensive because MaSa was bringing the heat, but having that Ling Bane count really allowed him to deal with the early attacks in a better way. But yeah, MaSa is just, as you put it, he's a class above. He is a top NA player. Kane is making his way there, but
not there yet.
MaSa shows in this first map. He is here for business.
And that was kind of what we were talking about, just the psychology of MaSa's gameplay. That was about as straight and narrow as he gets. Some really cool tricks, but he's executing at a very high level. We know that he's playing these games from Korea. I'm not sure what time it is there, but it's got to be...
It's late. I remember, okay, so...
5:30 today.
Oli Moly was like, when we were starting this broadcast, she's like, it's 11 p.m. It's like, this is going to be a hell of a day for me. So she's been admitting for us. So I imagine if that was when we started at 7, so what? I can't do time anymore. It's late. It's really late. Or I guess you could say early. I mean,
there you go,
the glass is perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Say.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to get into our second game as soon as we can between MaSa and Kane. A lot of one-sided games today, Jeffrey. I think the most interesting shakeup that we had was Zeal getting some weird stuff in, I guess, against No Regret.
Well, Namshir beating Hero Marine.
Yeah, that was pretty good too. Yeah.
The series was good, but just the result is a big one. Hero Marine was looking to be like one of those guys that threatens Serral, and then Namshir's just like, nope, you still got to beat me. Pretty good.
Tragic. So this is, I mean, I guess in the weird world, how do we like Kane versus Zeal then? Kane should be able to beat Zeal, right?
That's a tough one. Zeal, like I was saying, he was playing actually, like his decision-making and his builds really on top, very good. It's just that in each game I watched him play, he kind of individually made the choice of like, I'm going to endanger myself now. And I was like, why? And he's like, that's what I do. But like I said, I might be making...
He likes to go down in flames, you mean, win or lose.
I don't know. But I might be making too big of a deal because like his decision-making against No Regret was not incorrect. Like, it's just, in my opinion, it was dangerous, but he was so far ahead that I think any choice is not a bad one. So
Right.
I'm going to try and remind myself not to make too big of a deal of it, but that'll be a good test, Kane versus Zeal. Assuming that we can get Kane... Well, assuming he loses here to MaSa.
Yeah, yeah. I liked some of the thought process behind it. The next map is going to be Dreamcatcher, which has those pathways that are a bit narrow, the rocks that you can block off, the gold base. Kane's doesn't strike me as a gold base guy. I don't think we're going to see Kane do anything weird with the gold on this map. MaSa, this is a map where you could do some of the air harass is pretty strong because you can hide behind the main mineral line. It's not actually that great for like range liberators because there is so much space behind the main base mineral line. But
I would guess you don't see anything out of MaSa different. I think he should just do the exact same thing. Send misinformation to his opponents in the future where it's like, oh, it looks like MaSa's playing totally straight up, but also against Kane, he was never in danger, right? Like, I don't think Kane ever even attacked him with anything.
No, he never crossed the halfway point after the initial push.
That is a mauling, my man.
Yeah. Well, having your Hydralisk range shut down as well, like he couldn't do anything, so he was just stuck. So in the bottom right, we have our blue Terran player. He is from Canada, playing in Korea right now, I think. It is MaSa. And his opponent in the top left, opening with a pool, perhaps expecting some sharp cheddar. He is Kane.
And it's worth noting, too, that I feel like that is, you know, I talked about what makes No Regret a tough opponent, just how wild he is and aggressive. MaSa embodies that, but has that polish and that kind of decisiveness that does get you top 4 in WCS stops, even a top 2, and some really good showings, because he is that guy that can be like, oh, no, for the next 9 games I'm proxy raxing you, but also... I can fall back, and like in that last game, he was dropping and moving out with a sizable army with low income because he was spinning so well the entire time. That's really impressive play.
Yeah, I wasn't floating or banking resources at all.
Never.
No. So we're going to have the 6 lings as Kane... I mean, we saw him kind of do that weird blind counter versus No Regret earlier, but in this game, that's not how it's going to be. Those 6 lings, considering that the gas is only just now about to start being mined, they will not be able to do anything against this Reaper. Really, it's going to be more so the Queen. The SCV will see the lings. So I think your concern here, if you're MaSa, is you're probably going to keep the Reaper at home so that you don't get jumped on by those Zerglings. You don't want them to be able to deny your natural.
Well, just them getting spotted at that exact moment is such unfortunate timing for Kane, because he was definitely hoping to circle around, maybe get a cancel on that CC, and that would be his advantage to leverage here. But instead, you just have a worse start. It would have been nice against Proxy Rax maybe, but that's not what you're facing, so it's just objectively a worse start.
Yep. Well, it's a big map. The pathways, there's a good few that you can use to run around. I mean, you've got these rocks that a lot of people will break if you do get put on that back foot, or if you're trying to cut an army in half. You got this north side that leads over towards the gold base, as well as that western path that kind of goes around. And there's a few different ways that you can go around there. But generally speaking, I think this is a pretty all-right map. I don't know. I haven't heard too many people's thoughts on this one.
I like it. Just different dimensions.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, though, that base you showed, kind of middle left, I don't think I've ever seen anyone take that base. I don't think it's possible.
No. Nope. I had one game that was a base trade where a guy took it, but that was it. That was
Even in a base trade, that'd be a weird base to take, right?
Well, it was bad. You know why? Because I just put a tank there.
Yeah.
It was a really weird game.
Well, also, you just kind of like accidentally find it. Like, that would be the whole idea behind a hidden base, or, you know, your last-ditch effort. But this one's like, oh, you took that one. Okay, good.
Yeah. But why?
The gold bases you do see, and that's why... Because, like, that's a bad base, too, but it's gold. So it incentivizes you where if you can hold on to it for any time at all, you're just paying dividends.
Imagine if this was the gold base. Ooh.
Or both.
Yeah, just these inside ones. The jaws of the map, you could almost say.
Yeah.
The Hellions are going around. They're looking for something. There's nothing for them to see. He's going to get the Raven out at the start of this game. The Marine will poke away at this Overlord. I do like the Raven harass with these styles. He starts researching Cloak.
Oh.
And the goal here is you make him think that you're going Banshees, so he.
What's the fake upgrade though? Because it costs less.
There is no one anymore actually.
Oh, it used to be though, right?
They got rid of. It used to be the Caduceus reactor, which was 50 minerals and 50 gas. They replaced it with the high capacity fuel tank upgrade, but that one actually costs 100. And that's the one that makes the medevac boost last for 9 seconds instead of 6.
Is that what Cloak is? 100?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was the update that broke TVT because you could afford to start Cloak and the Banshee at the same time.
Ah.
That was a big deal. A lot of people were very mad about that. Ancient Terran history.
A lot of people really mad about that.
A lot of legendary Terran
like
wine throughout the years. No, I mean the TVT,
Yeah.
man. The number of new players that are like, I'll play as the humans, and then the Cloak ship shows up and kills all your stuff. You're like, I don't understand how this game works.
Why are you hurting me?
I can't see it.
I like the idea of there being some giant tome, you know, of like the history of StarCraft, but like every single entry is ended with, and many people were quite upset. The
Yeah,
Terrans enjoyed quite the success in Wings of Liberty, and it upset countless legions of people.
Yeah, I think one of the ones that will maybe eventually be patched, but I think would be like a glorious rant will be when. Did you know the Immortal can shoot while dancing? It's the only unit in the game that can do that.
No, really?
Yeah, the Immortal fires normally while dancing if anything's in range.
Here's how boring and vanilla I am, Nate. I didn't even know the Immortal could dance.
It does the Gangnam Style dance, actually.
I never. Well, now I got to go home and dance my Immortals, but
Yeah,
I usually lose most of my games, so I don't get a chance to dance.
Not enough people do it, but as a mech player, when people kill me with Immortals, I'm like, man, nobody ever dances. Do you like? People don't know, and a bunch of people think that I'm trying to bait them right now. And they're like, oh, ha ha, you want me to go lose the game because I danced my Immortals? But it's true. Try it out.
Dancing's a very funny thing.
It's the most that's your Manor Mule equivalent, is that you can shoot while dancing.
But if you dance and then lose, that is perhaps
that's
the most bad feeling in all of StarCraft.
Most humiliating feeling.
Was it Naniwa? I'm going to throw us way back in MLG, who I believe two-gate zealoted somebody, was way ahead, danced, and then died. I'm pretty sure. I hate to throw out a name off a guess like that, so there's going to be someone upset at me, but
No.
if somebody can tell me if they remember that,
I mean,
that was
I don't
sick.
think anybody would be surprised if it was Naniwa bringing out the bad manner. So
There you go, Nate. And now you're joining in on the people that someone's going to be mad at. So a lot of Lings went down there. They went inside of those auto turrets and Hellions. So MaSa finds himself a little bit behind supply, but
yeah, I think sacking the Raven to try and get the queen kill is never worth it in that situation.
yeah.
I think swooping around and just auto turreting the hell out of the third or the main.
So many drones, by the way, for Kane. So many drones.
Yep, crazy greedy, and he does this by just not getting anything other than Ling Bane. Like that's it. He's like, all right, I got my Bane speed. When one is on the way, I'm just gonna build Zerglings, and that's it. And I'm going to have a crap ton of Lings, and if you try to move out on the map, I'm going to swarm you. This map, I think, favors more MaSa's Marine Tank push style just because he has more choke points and walls, map layout features that he can use to get those tanks positioned safely.
Kane going for the surround. Gets a couple. Should get them all.
Yeah.
And MaSa even just gives up. He's like, you know what happened? It's fine. I'm done with it.
Yeah,
But yeah, so many drones, so you can just kind of stop that now. And you were saying it's going to be Ling Bailey, but he's also going to already have speed done with good creep spread. That is actually how you hold off the attack that we saw Hero Marine use earlier today to 2-0 Stefano.
Yep. So this style is very strong. I mean, like I said, this is a very true-esque style. I think a player like Scarlet would usually get maybe the tech a little bit faster, but it's not a huge deal.
Oh.
This is enough Lings to get a lot of work done, though,
That angle.
that position.
That angle's brutal.
Yeah.
Banelings would have to wrap all the way around this.
And this is why you don't want to lose that Raven as well. Being able to take out those tumors is so nice, but the Marines have to stim back, run and try to protect the siege tanks. But there's Banelings there, so he's going to say, yeah, I'll let those tanks die.
Oh my god. You know what I like about the tanks is, and he's using them sacrificially. It's like, no, go ahead and wrap around them. They still can kind of get those shots off and huge AoE goes down. But then if you miscue like that where he pulls off the tanks before they die, it just takes 2 shots and it flattens most of the force.
Yeah, most of the Banes are dead. A lot of these Marines are very low, MaSa.
Not shooting the medevacs, they just boost up here.
Yeah.
Nothing to do there, though.
Great map feature for that, for Terran versus Zerg, especially with the Hydra Bane meta. Like, you're not going to see Mutalisks come out to stop this sort of play.
This should be a great fight for Kane. He jumps on top of that tank. The units are separated here, and they've been in medevac, so they're not that well healed, but still these Marines are able to push forward a little bit.
MaSa's stim addiction coming back here a little bit. Most of these Marines are already hurt. These medevacs are out of energy.
And now because there's just a dryness of lanes, 40 or 34, excuse me, queued up. But if he loses this 4th base, a lot of his steam is going to be taken out. And this is that time where he wants to be churning out a lot of Hydras.
Yep. Gets the siege tank, focus down the Hydralisks, not getting friendly fire on his own units. Oop,
oh, the Raven.
Oh, the Raven. Nevermore. So MaSa's got his 4th base.
Super Nevermore now, because I guess it's dead, right?
Yeah, Beyond Nevermore. That's your next album name, Beyond Nevermore. There you go, In Control, I got you.
Oh my God, that's so amazingly, I love it. It's like, it's stupid, because Beyond Nevers, can't have it, but it's like something that people are like, that's deep. It's like actually beyond deep.
Some big artist is watching the stream, you know, just throw in a kappa in your album. There you go. That's how you get it from me. All right. Well, the push on this base, we've seen this before. If he tries to snipe that hatch, the Banelings are going around the east side, I guess.
The one? Okay, there they are.
Now all the Banelings come from the right side, and they have to go around the far way.
Kane's holding on. And we talked about it. MaSa can overextend, so he's getting routed. He's got to run back home. Also, well, okay, no, it's 2. So the upgrade advantage right now is in favor of Kane. He needs to be taking a 5th base behind this. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you have to keep... That's what's so hard about this matchup. That's why I respect really good TVZ players back and forth as Zerg and the Terran. Because you have to keep doing the other things while having the most micro-intensive fight perhaps in the game. Other than maybe Ling Baneling, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's very difficult to keep pace with, and I agree with you, because Kane, in this situation, it's like, oh yeah, he held the attack, he kind of pushed him back, but, you know, the Terran player is going to get that 3-3, and we all know that's like the big timer that usually comes up in TVZ, because it can be so hard for the Zerg to get that hive up. That poor one Marine.
Yeah, well, like, they were going to make it, but then the tank actually just flattened. Or was that a tank, or was that just...
Yeah, I think it was the tank from over here.
Yeah.
Rip.
He's like, we're fine, no, the medevac... Boom!
It's like, I got you, buddy. It's like, no.
You did get me, buddy. Good crew spread by Kane as well. And he is progressing towards that hive, so he can get out the Vipers and whatnot. Not bad. Really impressed with Kane's play. Despite him being down 0-1, he's keeping up with MaSa here. Yeah,
he's playing a really good game of StarCraft so far. This match has been quite good, but Kane has... You know, he's walking into some entrenched positions here. The amount of siege tanks with these Marines really doing a good job. I think you put it best in control. You know, we're talking about the end of the last game. Taking these fights on creep is extremely important.
Yeah.
And this map is so big. It's like, yes, he has spread a lot of creep, but he has not really pushed it out as much because MaSa has just been relentlessly piling on the pressure. And these tanks, this tank line is staggered back so far. Kane's going to attack into this, and no.
And you can see it. The point you just made, Nate, got played out there where it's like the Banelings have their one big moment, but if they're not connecting and that tank line persists, then you're just toast. You're dead. And this is the real trouble. Excuse me. Trouble is an interesting word there. Of fighting against MaSa, because now all these fights are happening off creep because it's been such an aggro game.
Yep, and he drops some Marines. He ferries them across while he gets into this fight. It's like, okay, yeah, you cleaned up these tanks.
More coming.
What about the other tanks? Now there's 3 more in the back. 2 more moving towards the front. They're going to be able to cut that off. His drop kind of... Okay, well, I guess that's not going to do too much more. But this has just been really clean play out of MaSa. Kane's going to get a jump on these tanks. There's no bio here to support them right now, so the Hydras do get some good shots off, as most of them did advance forward. He's got some drones on that west base. Vipers are coming out, but...
That's that Razor's Edge, too, man. I felt like MaSa had a really decisive victory before that, but just being slightly out of position, and all of a sudden 4 tanks die almost for free?
This still terrifies me, though. The 3-3 still coming in for the Terran. We have the Ling upgrade. +3 is coming, but we need adrenal glands with that. We do not have adrenal glands yet, and those upgrades are still very far away relative to the Terran upgrades.
And MaSa has been able to take a 4th base behind this. So the aggression just doesn't stop, right?
Yeah.
If he gets up to a 5th base, it really never stops.
Just huge credit to MaSa. He has just put on unrelenting pressure.
Yeah.
And I think most NA Zergs are usually dead by this point, which is why I'm so happy that Kane is back playing StarCraft, because I know that he's very good and he can play games like this, and he is giving us some great StarCraft. But MaSa has made it so hard for him. All of these fights taking place off creep, and you're really allowing those siege tanks to just get maximum value.
Yep. And now Mirage showing up as well, by the way. The composition is shifting over to 4 Marauders at a time.
I see some of Ducks, yeah.
Just going to make it hard for those Banelings.
The nice,
less juicy connects.
I actually really like this, though. The nice thing about this ridge is it turns back towards the Zerg's favor towards the end when you're relying on all of those siege tanks, because now you could just, Marines can't step forward to try and snipe the Vipers, so you can grab those siege tanks, you can try to grab the medevacs. A lot of the Banelings are stuck in here inside where those Hydralisks are, though. Not able to even get through. They're all still out there. Not really a lot of Banes either.
MaSa kept up the pressure. This fight is, it did not go well for Kane. He's pushing back, but the Banelings get focus fired. Not today. Viper's out of energy. They're going to fall back, but this Bioforce can just pursue now. There's that overstim Nate's talking about. So friendly fire actually doing pretty massive damage. But MaSa's just so good about producing behind this. The supply continually in his favor, and these tanks aren't getting touched.
Doesn't matter. But, you know, Kane played a great game. MaSa, this was just a game of 2 players macroing against each other, and MaSa just being better.
Yeah.
He just played better. I still think that Kane played a really great series, but you can just see that despite all of it, maybe when his mechanics are sharper after, you know, a few more months, maybe another year or 2, he can match this pace. But MaSa is just a little bit better than him, and that is just enough in this game.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things you celebrate and love about StarCraft, but it's a hard thing to face, right? People call it like ladder anxiety sometimes, but sometimes you just face someone better, and that is MaSa today with the 2-0 of Kane. A nice series, though. I think people are gonna look at that on paper and be like, "Oh, he just kicked his butt."
It was good. It was a good for a 2-0. It was a good series. Kane did not just fall under MaSa's boot. It was one of those struggles. You know, he had the knife. Kane did a good job of holding it back, but.
And now I am excited about Kane's Zeal, by the way, because Kane did play well, like you were saying, just didn't get the W. And Zeal, same kind of thing, played well, but did lose a match. We'll see. This will be closer. I hope it's a better one.
Yeah, makes me pretty excited for the final match of today. So that means that MaSa has made his way out of the group. He will be in the playoffs. Nobody's surprised.
Nope.
Excited to see how far he makes it. He was in the finals of our last challenger back in May. So with that being said, I think I'm going to take another look at the schedule so you guys can see how everything has turned out so far today. A lot of one-sided matches, but I have to say this Zeal final against Kane should be good. The winner makes it to the playoff bracket, so we're going to have a new player in the playoff bracket for this season of Challenger. Let's find out who it'll be. It's Zeal versus Kane coming up next.